Right. In the previous class, we'll be discussed about the various other multiple accessing procedures that are retained with the corresponding MAC layer. That is, the MAC layer has been working in different environments, either in the FDMA, either in the SDMA, whether in the CDMA or whatever it is, or TDMA, or it is in a time division multiple accessing, space division multiple accessing, frequency division multiple accessing, or the code division multiple accessing. So while working with the wireless LANs, it may be working with different environments. In that criteria, that is within the demand-oriented multiple accessing procedures, we are discussing with various schemes. So each and every scheme is having its own advantages and disadvantages. So while doing with that advantages and disadvantages with each and every scheme, depending upon the requirement of the application and depending upon the requirement of the user, the corresponding application is going to be implementing so and so multiple accessing scheme for that particular MAC, right? While doing with that, while discussing that particular multiple accessing schemes in the last class, we've been ended with CDMA, that is code division multiple accessing, within which each and every individual user being assigned with a particular code, and using that particular coding scheme itself, we are going to be accommodating multiple number of users for the communication, right? So we'll be having a short melee of that particular CDMA, and we are being left with a particular example to discuss how the CDMA is going to be working while assigning a code to a particular user, and how that particular data sent by the user on a particular code will be get decoded on the receiver side, right? So we'll be seeing that particular thing. So discussing about the CDMA, what happens here is each and every user will be assigned with a particular unique number, right? What you are doing in the code division multiple access, that is nothing but a unique code will be assigned for a particular user. Then that particular user's number will be get XORed with the signal that he wants to send. That is nothing but the data signal that he wants to send. He is going to be XORing his unique random number with the corresponding data signal value, okay, number, that is going to be XORed and it is going to be sent over. So then on the receiver side, again the receiver has to do the corresponding operation in order to decode the corresponding data signal which has been XORed with the unique random number. See, that is how happens. We'll see with an example, right? And according to this particular procedure, the CDMA is having its own advantages and disadvantages that we have discussed in the previous class. The disadvantage is nothing but, as the sender is doing by XORing his unique random number along with the sending data signal, the same thing has to be get dumped by the receiver on the side. That is, the receiver simply couldn't get the signal what he has been sent by the sender. He has to find out and he has to decode the message signal from the signal sent over by the transmitter or the sender. Okay, that is the complexity retained with the receiver. And all the signals should be receiving at the receiver should maintain the same strength as all are being coded. If the strength of the signal has been altered, the codes will be getting changed. That shouldn't be done. So that is the disadvantage of this particular thing. And advantages are nothing but, as in the same frequency division multiple access, no planning is needed. Simply coding is being assigned, and according to that particular code, the signal will be sent by the user. Huge code space is being there when compared to the frequency space. That is 2 power 32 number of codes are being available for that. There is nothing but that much number of users can be accommodated. 2 power 32 numbers of users can be, or subscribers can be accommodated. And no interference will be decoded. That is, even though there are some interference, all those interference will not be get coded into your own coded signal, that is data signal. And another advantage of this particular CDMA is our forward error correction scheme is there, which has been already discussed in the previous unit. The particular forward error correction and encryption of the data included in the same frame. That is, they are being getting integrated. That is, no extra space is required and no special channel is required in order to include your FEC error correction and also the corresponding encryption of your data. Both are being mingled in the single frame. So what happens here in the CDMA? That is nothing but how you are being coding your user and how you are coding your data signal. For example, A and B are there. They are being combinedly sending the data on a single channel itself. That is, A and B, two users are there who are being sending the data on the same channel. How they will be sent by their coding and how they will be individually identified, right? So see, For example, sender A wants to transmit the bits 010011. That is, sender A wants to transmit the bits 010011. That is nothing but he is going to be coded with a value or coded with a key number or a random number called as 010011, right? And he wants to send the data. That is, the data that he wants to send by the A is nothing but a single one. Okay, and the key value or a random value, random number of that particular sender A, or maybe the key value of the thing, whatever it is, that particular value is 0100 stream. That this stream is nothing but a random number that has been given to the A, or maybe the key value of whatever we can say. And here 0 is being assigned with a minus value 1, and 1 is being assigned with a positive value. So what happens, this assignments we will see. Sending the signal. While sending the signal by the A, what they are doing is they are doing the inner product of AD and AK. What they are doing the inner product of AD and AK. AD is nothing but a single one. AK is of a stream of 6 bits. So they are doing multiplication. They are doing the multiplication with these numbers. That is nothing but 010011. It is nothing but in the place of 0 we will be assuming -1. And in the place of 1, it is a positive 1, right? So while doing the multiplication, AD with AK, AD with AK, we are doing the internal multiplication, nothing but 1 into -1, that is -1, 1 into positive 1, that is positive 1. In that way, the product tuple has been appeared or resulted. Okay, the resultant product is nothing but the inner product of the AD and AK. In this way, you are going to be multiplying the values, right? And again, B is also there, which has been transmitting its value with the stream code called as 110101. This is the code of B, right? And B is going to be sending the data of 0. B is sending the data of 0. And BK has been assigned a value of this particular value. Okay, and its key value or maybe it's random number, whatever you say, that is the value 110101. And here also we are being assigning 0 with -1, 1 plus 1 is with the positive 1. And we are sending the signal with the same criteria. BS will be the sending signal. That is BS will be, that is nothing but the inner product of BD and the BK. That is we have done here, right? And these two signals are being superimposing in the space. In the available space, these two signals have been superimposed. That is not, they are not taking the individual values. They are not taking the individual channels and individual places. They are being superimposed into a single signal. So how they are being superimposed? They are being just added up. They are being just added up. That is AS plus BS. So AS plus BS is nothing but -1 plus -1 is -2. Plus 1 and the -1 it's 0. -1 and plus 1 it's again 0. -1 -1 2. Plus 1 plus 1 2. And plus 1 -1 it is 0. So that the sending signal has been resulted as like this. The total completed signal that we want to send from our side, on the sender side, will be AS plus BS is nothing but -2 0 0 -2 plus 2 and 0. And now the receiver wants to receive signal from sender A. If the receiver wants to get the signal from sender A, then they has to apply the AK bitwise inner product. AK bitwise inner product. What they are doing is that the receiver signal is like this. The receiver signal, encoding signal to B is like this. That is what we have been done here. And AK should be like this. That is nothing but they are going to be multiplying the corresponding receiver signal with the corresponding key value. AK bitwise inner product. Here they are multiplying this particular -2 0 0 -2 plus 2 0 with -1 plus 1 -1 -1 plus 1. What we have multiplied with the individual data value by the A side will be multiplying. The same value is being multiplying on the receiver side for the A value to be received. Okay, with the total combination of the signal A plus AS and BS. See, A is to be received by the receiver. A's signal or the A data has to be received by the receiver. But we have been sent the signal with the combination of A and B also. So, to encode that particular signal, which is being exclusively sent by the A, to decode the signal which is being excluded by the exclusively sent by the A, we have to multiply the received signal with the corresponding key signal of the A. Okay, that is nothing but the random signal or the random number that is assigned to the A. That is what they have done here. so that they have got the positive values. That is minus 2 into minus 1, that is 2, and 0 into 1, that is 0, and 0 into minus 1, that is 0, minus 2 into minus 1, 2, 2 into 1, 2, and 0 into 1, 0. And they have got this sum. They have been added up these values, got as this result of 6. That is, result is greater than 0. Therefore, original bit was 1. Right? They have been assumed that the value that is being sent by the A is 1. Isn't it or not? The value sent by the A value, that is AD, data value of A is nothing but 1, which is being sent as a combination of the key value of A by doing the inner product and combined with the inner product of B and sent over. But this combination of the A and B has been decoded by the exclusive bit inner product again with the key value of A and got the sum of the value as the greater than 1 value. So they have been assumed that the bit value that is being sent by the A as 1. Okay, so 6 is a positive value. Result is greater than 0. So that's why the original bit was 1. In this way, the values that are the data value or the data bit that has been sent by the senders will be get decoded on the receiver side. This is how the senders and the customers will be coded. The A customer has been coded with 010011. B customer has been coded with 110101. So that how many number of combinations are there? Here we are having 6 bits for coding a particular user. 6 bits are there for coding a user. So that 2 power 6 number of subscribers are there in that particular station, or 2 power 6 number of customers or subscribers are there for their mobile station, or maybe for their particular radio cell. Okay. Depending upon the number of subscribers and the customers available, the total number of bits will be taken to code that particular users, and the data will be sent by by producting or by producting their particular key value and sent over. Okay, this is the way. This is how they have been shown. So on the B side, they have been done. So if the B signal has to be received, the same procedure will be implemented. What they have caught as the B value, minus 6. So as the 6 is the non-positive value, so the value that is sent by the B is 0 to be assumed, right? So this is how the signals has been decoded as the signals. That is that binary data values of the A has been decoded as like this. That is, A data has been decoded in the signal way, and the key of the signal A, and it is being byproducted. That is, sequence of A with the data has been decoded in this fashion. And finally, the final value, that is the 2002 minus 20. That is, A value will be, it is minus 200 minus 2 plus 20. So this value will be sent like this. Finally, the signal A will be like this. That is what we have done mathematically has been represented in the signal manner. The data signal, key signal, they have been multiplied with each other. The final signal has been appeared like this. In the similar way, B signal, B key value, they have been two producted with each other. Final B signal, and finally A and B are being combined. That is, A and B are added with each other. That is, the combination of A and B signal has been illustrated here. Coding and spreading of data from sender A and sender B combinedly shown signal. That is, minus 200 minus 2 plus 20 has been resultant as like this, right? So the reconstruction, that is how the data will be get decoded on the receiver side. Data has been received here, right? Data A has been sent like this as AD, and it has been combined with B, appeared as like this on the receiver side. So key is available with the receiver side, that is A's key will be available with the receiver side. The received signal is the combination of AS and BS. So these two has to be get XORed. These two has to be get XORed with the XOR product, so that the corresponding signal will be get out. That is integrator output and the comparator output. There is nothing but we are going to be we are performing the exclusive OR, so that the resultant signal will be some 2200002, right? The positive values have been came out, and it has to be get compared by the comparator. These are all the product components that you doesn't know about. These are all the electronic components, integrators and the comparators. Integrators are nothing but the combiners, combining components, and the comparators are the one which are going to be comparing the values, that is 1 and 0 or 0 or 1, what is the product of that particular value, all these things. By comparing that, by adding up all the values, it is going to be deciding that the resultant is the positive value, so that the sent data by the A is 1 at that moment. Okay, this is how the reconstruction will be illustrated, what we have done mathematically in steps. That is how the CDMA will be implemented. That is the code division multiple access. A code will be given to the user. The same code will be get what is called as XORed with the corresponding data that is being sent by the user, and it will be combined with the another user also, and it will be sent on the same line. On the receiver side, again it will be get XORed with the corresponding key value, and it is going to be getting the decoded signal exclusively sent by the single user, even though it has been received the user's data in combination. It has been received the signal of both A and B, but it has been dumped that signal into a single user data, right? That's it. That is how the corresponding CDMA have to be done. So that's why we have been mentioned in the disadvantages that the receiver got the complexity, higher complexity of a receiver side. Why? Because what has been done on the receiver side, the same has to be done by the corresponding receiver on the receiving side in order to get his decoded information, right? This is what happens with the CDMA. And coming to the soft handover and the soft handoff mechanism. See, there itself we have been done with the CDMA concept. Before that, we discussed about the inhibit sense mobile access, and also the random address polling, reservation TDMA, MRPA, and MACA, and all those things we discussed in the last class, right? So CDMA has been now ended here. I think I'm clear about how the CDMA has been implemented. And coming to the soft handover and or soft handoff. Already we discussed about what is a handover or a handoff. That is nothing but conveying the signals, conveying the user signals or connecting the user signals whenever he is moving out of the coverage area of that particular base station. He is going to be moving over from the covering base station to another base station. Then this other base station which is concerned with that particular other area into which he has been entered will be get connected with your signal without breaking your call. That is nothing but a handover, right? So whether you are being what is called as we are crossing your covering BTS, that is a base transceiver system, and you are entering into another radio cell, then the corresponding BTS of that particular radio cell has to take care of your calling signal or talking signal. That is nothing but the handover mechanism. So that particular handover mechanism, here we are being specified this handover mechanism is the soft handover. So that we are being able to know that there are two types of mechanisms, hard handover and also the soft handover, hard handover and the soft handover. See, hard handover is being different from the soft handover. Okay, hard handover is different from the soft handover. See, soft handover is going to be taken care by more number of cells simultaneously. Soft handover is going to be taken care by more number of cells simultaneously, whereas hard handover is going to be taken care by the corresponding cell whenever the user presenting in his area, in its area, then only that particular base station is going to be taking care that whether the signal is to be taken care by or it is to be reconnected by itself to continue the call of that particular user. The hard handover is nothing but whenever he enters into new radio cell, the base station of that particular radio cell has to take care of the signal of that corresponding user without getting break. That is called as hard handover. That will be get directly decided by that particular base station whenever he crosses the radio cell. But the soft handover is being different from the hard handover. Even though the corresponding user crosses his radio cell and enters into the other radio cell, all the neighboring radio cells are going to be ready to take over that particular soft handover, but they will be deciding on depending upon the signal strength of the original home base station. Whether they has to take the handover or not has to be decisive. It has to be decided by themselves depending upon the strength of the signal that is bearing by the caller. So that if he is not able to get the signal, then that particular signal will be get handed over to the corresponding any neighboring cell or a neighboring base station which is very nearer to that particular user. Okay. C refers to a feature used by a CDMA or WCDMA standard where a cell phone is simultaneously connected to two or more cells. That is nothing but if he is in an area in such a way that he is going to be connecting to the 2 to 3 neighboring cells. Okay, that is nothing but he will be coming under those 3 cells, not concerned to a single particular area. He is being concerned with the 3 areas. He is being positioned at that particular position in that area. He is presenting in that area such that it is under the control of 3 particular cells or the 3 base stations. In that case, they themselves decide themselves that who has to take care of his signal. That is called as soft handover. Okay. Whereas in the corresponding traditional hard handover, okay, the corresponding base station directly took the decision that the corresponding calls has to be taken by itself. That is called as hard handover, right? Okay, this is the conditional decision. The soft handoff is the conditional decision, whereas the hard handover is the voluntary decision and the direct decision of the corresponding base station, right? And coming to the spread aloha, already we discussed about some aloha schemes. Classical aloha is there, slotted aloha is there, what is called as reservation aloha is there. All are being discussed. They are having their own efficiencies and throughputs and advantages and the disadvantages. Here, the corresponding spread aloha with the multiple access has been introduced in order to increase the multiple accessing occupancy. Multiple accessing occupancy, even though it is having its own collision deficiency. That is nothing but Aloha scheme is purely meant for the collision. Why? Because the users will not take care about that whether the corresponding transmission medium is free or idle at that moment or not. Whenever they are willing to send, that just try their data to send over that particular transmission media. They doesn't care about that whether the neighboring channels or the stations are going to sending the data through the transmission medium at the same interval of time. Okay, so that they will be having some collisions, they will be having the reduction in their efficiency and the throughput also. But depending upon the application and depending upon the bothering of the application user, the corresponding Aloha will be implemented. That is, if you require 18% of efficiency or throughput, then you are being choosing the classical Aloha. Otherwise, if you are having 36% of efficiency, do we require, then you are going for the corresponding slotted Aloha. Otherwise, if you want to increase the efficiency or throughput up to 80%, then you will go for the reservation Aloha. But here in this case, spread Aloha, which is being meant for the spreading, that is nothing but the increasing the bandwidth and increasing the number of users to be accommodated in the corresponding narrow band with the available time slices itself, that is the CDMA. With the available time space and the available frequency space itself, we are being accommodating multiple number of users. Then this particular spread Aloha multiple access can be implemented. But the same procedure, the same collision procedure is being encountering and following and haunting this particular SAMA. The SAMA is going to be also been haunting with the same collision disadvantage, but we are going to be increased with many number of users. That is, within the shorter bandwidth or available bandwidth, you are been accommodating multiple number of users. That is the advantage of this. But the thing that is to be additionally done with this particular SAMA or the what is called as spread Aloha multiple access, in addition to the other Alohas, are nothing but a specific chipping sequence or a chipping bit sequence has to be raised by the user, or he has to be designed with, or the corresponding mobile station has to be arranged with the chipping sequence, and according to the chipping sequence itself, the senders has to send their multiple data. There is multiple senders has to be send the data through that particular transmission media. This is what the chipping sequence or the chipping frequencies. Using this particular chipping frequency or the chipping sequence, the corresponding senders has to send through that particular narrow band. Even though they are being sending according to this particular chipping sequence, the collision may appear. But what we get is nothing but send for a shorter period with higher power. We are going to be sending the data with a higher power on multiple number of users and sending the much of the data. That is, high data transfer will be there. If that particular high data transfer retrieves you the efficiency or throughput, that is not the matter for them. But sending the data simply is the ultimate goal. In that cases, we can go for this SAMA, right? But the maximum throughput will be only 18%, which is very basic with the normal Aloha. But what we can achieve is multiple number of users can send the data through this particular Aloha. That is the SAMA Aloha. Here we are ending with the schemes of multiple accessing schemes that are available in the wireless transmission. Okay, that is nothing but MAC is being allowed to send the data in various accessing schemes, that is SDMA, FDMA, TDMA, CDMA, and demand-oriented accessing schemes like Aloha variations and also reservation variations and multiple access variations. Different accessing schemes are seen. But along with these accessing schemes, whether we are being implementing in this, each and every scheme is having their own advantages and disadvantages. Among all these things, the MAC has to act as an interface between the corresponding physical layer and also the corresponding logical link control. The logical link control and the what is called as physical layer are being lying either side of this particular MAC. Okay, even though it's been the sublayer of the data link layer, it has been acting as. So what it is doing is it has been establishing the connection between the two communicating points and it has been sending the data over that transmission media depending upon the transmission procedure that we've been chosen, whether you are choosing the CDMA, whether you are choosing the SAMA in that one, whether you are choosing the slotted Aloha, whether you are using the classical Aloha and all those things. So here these are all the schemes with which the MAC is going to be working with. So that according to the scheme that you have been chosen, the MAC has to adapt its communication procedure. So using all these procedures, the MAC has to get accommodated and accustomed to send the data from sender to the receiver, right? And another part of the second unit, another part of our second unit is nothing but the IEEE 802.11 LAN version. That is LAN IEEE 802.11. So why it is being mentioned here, why you are going for that, what is the use of it, and what is an architecture that is being specially mentioned here, how it has been helpful for us in the mobile communication, we will see, right? So we'll be moving with that particular thing, that is one second. So why are moving with this wireless LAN IEEE 802.11 is actually the basic goal, the basic aim of the corresponding wireless LANs is to replace the office cabling. That's nothing but uh, making the world to be a wireless one. That is wireless connected. Okay, connected in wireless way. They should be in a wireless connection. All are being connected, but without any wired connection, and no one-to-one point connection should be there. Total globe has to be get connected with each other, but without any wire. That is accessing the internet, but without the no specific wiring. Even in the offices also. That is even in any organizations like our college or any offices or organizations, no specific cabling is to be there. Without that particular cabling itself, without that particular wired connections, all the people around the globe has to be get connected. So that is the actual theme of the wireless LANs, right? So to introduce the higher flexibility, to have the advanced communication or ad hoc communication like group meetings, conferences, all these have been happening. How they have been happening without connecting with each other. These group meetings or video conferencing and all those things are being done without any wired connection. So with this particular wireless connections, to have that particular ad hoc communications like this conferences and meetings to be happen, there shouldn't be any wires. So if there are being presenting any wires in between them, there will be any wired connection in between the users, how they will be following through the total universe and how they are being roaming and moving over the globe. So that is the actual theme of this particular wireless LANs. In that theme, this IEEE version of 802.11 LAN has been playing a major role, introducing the ad hoc communication technologies, But what happens with this wireless LANs? What could be the advantages and what could be the disadvantages, and what could be the main features of this IEEE 802.1? Before going to the IEEE 802.11, we will see what are the advantages and disadvantages of this wireless LANs. If we can implement throughout the globe, so that we make the people to be connected, but without wires. So without any hard, what is called as a wired communication and wired transmission, how we make people around the globe to be get connected and have the access with each other and have these ad hoc communication with each other, right? We will be starting with the advantages first. So there will be a flexibility. There will be a flexibility with this particular wireless LANs. What sort of flexibility we will have? We will have the radio coverage. That is nothing but the radio frequency signals are going to be communicated with each other. There will not be any restrictions from one communication point to the another communication point, and there will not be any obstacles in between the users. That is in between the two people, there is a wall in between them, there is a mountain in between them, there is a building in between them, or we are not unable to get the signals because of this obstacle, or this is because of a tree, or this is because of a lake, or this is because of a mountain. All this shouldn't be there. That is nothing but without any specific restrictions, without any obstacles, the radio waves can be propagating from one area to the another area, or one person to the another person. That is the flexibility with this particular wireless LANs. And next one is, no specific planning is needed for this ad hoc networks as with the wired transmission. As wired transmission, there should be a planning where to connect and how much of far apart there, which type of LAN connectivity should be there in between, how they has to be connected with the wires. All these things has to be pre-planned, and according to the plan itself, all those wired communication people has to be get connected. But for this wireless LANs, no planning is needed. Whenever you want to connect with that particular radio frequency has to be get matched up. That is enough for us to get connected with the corresponding. So no planning is, prior planning is not needed. That is another advantage. And design, as even though we are being going for the ad hoc communication and advanced communication, no specific designs and the large design of circuits are being needed for us. Very compact and small design and circuitry is needed, which is very pocket size and compact size, and which is very also palm oriented. Okay, even though we will have the advanced communication technologies, advanced softwares and advanced hardware is there, the hardware can also be designed to the very smaller and compact design. That is the thing. But the VLSI designs are there, very large investigations are there. That is using that particular VLSI designs, the hardware designs are also becoming very small, right? And coming to the robustness, this flexible, unplannable and compact design wireless networks are going to be very robust to all type of environment, all type of disasters. They can overcome and they can bear any natural calamities or any what is called as weather calamities, and whatever it is they can hold upon. That is because of cyclone, because of rain, and because of thunder, and because of storms, we lost the signals and we couldn't get the signals, we couldn't get the data transmission, we couldn't get the internet. Because of that, we have been blocked. These couldn't be the issues which are raised with the wireless LANs. But with the wired LANs, we'll have all these things. So because of the storm, and because of the mist, and because of the snow, and because of the cyclone, because of the thunderstorm, we are not getting the signal. That will not be the case with the corresponding wireless LANs. Okay, that is nothing but the robustness, right? We can communicate with the and next one is the cost effective. In the similar way, even though if you are been getting the compact devices, flexible design, flexible planning, and flexible robustness and all these things, do we have to pour more cost on the wireless LANs? No, that is not the case. But along with this, all the other advantages, cost will be also effective. That is nothing but with the same wireless network, we are going to be accessing multiple number of people with the same accessing point. Multiple number of users can access the communication. That is also the cost effective one. Okay, and time is up. I think we'll be continuing with the disadvantages and the architecture of the wireless IEEE version. Okay, disadvantages are more when compared to the advantages. All those has to be get overcome by this 802.11 LAN version. We'll be discussing in the next class. Right, I'm ending the session here. Time is up. Get ready for the next session.